Hello and welcome to the Champions League preview. I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture Football, joined by Andrew Pollard from WhatCulture Football to look ahead to tonight's Champions League semi-final match between Lyon and Bayern Munich to see who will face PSG in the Champions League final. Andrew, before we get into this, it feels like every one of these we've done, we've dismissed Lyon and gone, right, well, okay, they're obviously going through. Juventus, Man City, for example. Could history repeat itself tonight? And I suppose the bigger overarching question is, can Lyon stop Bayern Munich?
Yeah, it's such a fascinating game to go into, because it's one of those on paper where everything points to Bayern Munich steamrolling through Lyon. But then that was the thing. You looked at the Manchester City game. Everybody thought, yeah, Lyon they won't be able to cope with Manchester City. Won't be able to cope with Manchester City's attack. Juventus, you thought that Juve would have been able to have done enough in that second leg to knock Lyon out, but not even Cristiano could. He got 2 goals, but he didn't do enough to. Well, he did. The rest of the team didn't to knock out Lyon. So this is a Lyon team that perennial underdogs right now. They're always up against it. People are writing them off. We've maybe been guilty of writing them off. So you can't rule it out, but it's logically, if you go based on figures, you go based on stats, you go based on gut instinct, you go on whatever logic you want to apply to this. Bayern Munich go through, but that's the beauty of football. You never know.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how a team performs after, just dominating so much. They beat Barcelona so badly. Their entire team philosophy, whatever you want to say, has changed. Quique Setien is gone. Ronald Koeman is in. Lionel Messi might be leaving. There might be a wholesale sale going on with whatever's left of Barcelona's squad. There's links with hundreds of players potentially coming to the Camp Nou. It's fascinating to see. But then again, now will people expect Bayern Munich to win 6-0 or something?
Yeah, that was a scary thing. In the post-match interview of that game, the Bayern Munich and Barcelona game, it was Thomas Muller did an interview, and he just said, like, yeah, we did well. It was good. We played well. We're happy with the result, but we've got another level we can get to. It's like what double figures now are we looking at? But yeah, this Bayern Munich team, it's special, but we saw against Barcelona that it's not that they can be get at the back, and a little bit like the Manchester City game with Lyon. Lyon, they're deft on the counter attack. That's pretty much their whole approach to the bigger games. At least is they look to absorb as much as they can, quite defensive, and then just catch teams on the counter attack with the rapid pace they've got up front of a Memphis Depay, of a Maxwell Cornet on the left. They're an exciting team to watch going forward, and it's just a case of, can that defense contain this Bayern Munich side? And geez, after popping 8 past Barcelona, that's going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, I rewatched the City Lyon highlights just before we started recording this, and was still astonished that Man City didn't win that game. Not just because of Raheem Sterling's miss, but had a whole host of chances. Now, yes, there was some excellent defending in there, last-ditch blocks, etc. But you feel like Bayern Munich would possibly, with the front line that they've got, take the chances that maybe, going to the back post, for example. Gabriel Jesus' miss stands out for me as well. I just can't see someone like a Robert Lewandowski passing up this opportunity. It's his time to win the Champions League, quite possibly.
Yeah, that was when I was doing some research into this and thinking what we're going to talk about. And the first thing I thought about is, you cannot look at that Manchester City game and not think of that Sterling miss. And you're thinking, would Thomas Muller have passed that up? Would Lewandowski have passed that up? Would Serge Gnabry? Would any of those? Would Leon Goretzka? Whoever it would, I cannot see Bayern Munich missing such a gilt-edged chance. And the Gabriel Jesus one as well. They showed in the Barcelona game how clinical they can be. Nobody puts 8 past Barcelona. It's like nobody puts baby in the corner. But they did, and it was. What was scary, if I'm Lyon, is that Bayern Munich didn't hold up. It was just like, right, okay, we've got 4, we've got 5, we've got 6, we've got 7, we've got 8, and it was right until the referee blew his whistle for full time. It was Bayern Munich were pushing to get more and more goals, and they were clinical as well with it. Like there was very few chances went begging, and so yeah, Lyon. I feel sorry for someone like a Martial, who's I thought had a good game against City, the centre half. But you're thinking, if you're playing in that defensive line, then yeah, And I think Lopez in goal is going to have a special game as well.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk a little bit about Lyon's players because it's fairly obvious. Well, everyone when it comes to Bayern is the standout players, but who are the ones we need to look out for on the Lyon side? You mentioned Marcelo there.
Yeah.
Obviously, people will have their eye on Memphis Depay, but
Yeah.
Dembele came on and scored twice. Cornet scored a spectacular goal as well. Who are we looking out for on that Lyon side? Who could be the difference makers for them?
Yeah, Husamour's a guy who's had a lot of transfer speculation about him to move to one of the big boys in over the last year, really. So could be. He could unlock the Bayern defense because, like I said, the Barcelona game, Bayern Munich weren't unflappable at the back. They can be got at. So
it's quite a high defensive line they were playing.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I mean with the pace, the counter attack mentality of Lyon, of Memphis, of if Dembele starts or if he comes off the bench. Then if Dembele doesn't start, they're probably going to go with Toko Ekambi again because he's so key to the counter attacking system. Him, Cornet, Memphis are just on the break. That's what they look to do, is absorb all that pressure and then break. And with Bayern Munich's high line, I think it could be another one of those where it could be a ridiculous scoreline because I can't see Lyon not scoring just because of the way that Bayern's set up. But Bayern obviously are going to be very confident of we put 8 past Barcelona, so we fancy our chances to go and outscore this Lyon team. But Jason Denayer at centre half as well as another one who Manchester City fans will remember him, and he played in a Belgian game against Wales, which we were just talking about before we started recording. And he's just his stock's gone up since he's moved to Lyon, and he's got regular first team football. But Jesus, man, it's a tricky one. But this Lyon side, going into the Champions League, there was only I learned this from our Atalanta preview, where Atalanta had scored 98 goals, and there's only 2 teams that had scored more than them in the big 5 leagues, and that was Manchester City and that was Bayern Munich, who scored over 100 in their respective divisions. And so, if Lyon managed to topple a Manchester City team that scored over 100, then I mean, you can't rule it out that they can do the same job against Bayern Munich. But I do feel that I feel that Bayern Munich won't be as wasteful as City.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but did I read a stat that this season Lyon haven't won consecutive games in the Champions League?
Yes, so they've not won back-to-back games. They're on this weird run where they've not won consecutive games. But they're still managing to eke through. But I mean, if you're for omens, the last time Lyon got to a Champions League semi-final was back in 2009-10, and it was Bayern Munich who knocked them out. So I mean, you can read into that what you will. But yeah, it's I think that stat what you just pulled out there of the consecutive games, I think that very much describes this Lyon side, a side that came 7th, when all was said and done in Ligue 1. Ligue 1, obviously, they applied the points per game ratios to work out final standings. So it's a Lyon team that are great in some respects, but are very not so great in others. And it's I think that stat of the lack of consecutive wins really backs that up.
And yet you look at Bayern Munich, I was making my notes for this preview, and I normally like to note down 2 or 3, as we did yesterday, 2 or 3 key players. And I was doing the Bayern Munich one, and I was like, well, obviously Lewandowski and Muller and Coutinho really put a shift in the last game. And I really like Perisic, and Serge Gnabry is a sensation since leaving Arsenal. And Davies. Oh, and Pavard's returning from injury. And let's not forget about Manuel Neuer in between the sticks. It's a who's who, isn't it?
Yeah, just the quality throughout the squad, not even the first 11. I think one player that's maybe went a little under the radar in the Barcelona game as well was Leon Goretzka. I thought he was fantastic. He's not particularly showy. He didn't get any goals, but just in that midfield, just very much. I know it might be a lazy comparison to make, but he very much reminds me a little bit of Michael Ballack in his body shape and the role he plays. So maybe a little bit deeper than Ballack in his prime, I guess. But yeah, it's just from front to back with David Alaba, probably be partnered by Jerome Boateng at centre half, or Alphonso Davies, one of the revelations of the season, and then Joshua Kimmich, who people are kind of like, oh, Kimmich's going to play it right back. It's like he's great, he's fantastic, and he popped up with a goal obviously in the Barca game. But I think Joshua Kimmich technically is such a great footballer. But Pavard's been on great form all season. I think that's where people maybe think, oh, well, Kimmich's playing. But yeah, Pavard is fitting in the squad, but I think unlikely to start.
What should Lyon's game plan be? Like you say, you sense that it's going to be a lot of Munich attacks and Lyon won't necessarily mind that too much. They're a counter-attacking side. But what is the game plan? We've seen what Bayern can do just recently in 90 minutes. How you hold out against them? I'd love to know your thoughts on what they're going to do to counter that, because goals can come from all over the pitch from Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I think it's a tough game for Lyon. No, however you look at it, it's almost an impossible task. But it almost sounds barbaric to say it, but I think you almost have to invite Bayern Munich onto you. You have to let them come at you. You have to be resolute and defend deep, and just hopefully you can absorb the pressure, which is a ridiculous ask given just the quality in that team. Because I think that's the only way they can go about it, really, because it's all about just being able to break that high line of Bayern by suckering them in, and then you fire away on the counter with your balls through to a Memphis or a Cornet. And I think that's possibly the only way. I feel like it's in Avengers Endgame when it's that kind of how do we win this? It's like, well, there's that one in however many billion chance. And I think this is kind of that kind of same insane scenario of I just think they have to be resolute and just almost be gluttons for punishment and invite Bayern Munich onto them with the hope of catching them on the break.
And maybe chances from set pieces. We saw Barcelona, of course, hit the post against them that way. But then, Bayern Munich are no slouches, and Manuel Neuer is a goalkeeper that can kind of come for everything.
Yeah, he's. Some people throw a bit of shade at his way these last few years, but he's still very much one of the best keepers in the world. You could possibly argue he's not quite at the level he was of maybe 4 years ago, 3 years ago, but he's still an exceptional goalkeeper, and he's a very confident goalkeeper, as so often tends to be the case with German goalkeepers. I'm thinking of Jens Lehmann, and now I'm thinking of Jens Lehmann getting floored by Kevin Davis, and that was quite funny. Got a lot of Bolton and Arsenal clashes. I miss those. Wenger and Allardyce. But yeah, Manuel Neuer is he's just that dominant presence of, you said there about how he comes for everything, how he dominates that back line. He's very vocal. He's got the respect of all the players there, because obviously he's this club legend by this point in time, a German football legend. So you look at it and you're thinking, how can this backline be pierced, really? Because even if they get through on the break, you've still got that presence, that figure of Manuel Neuer coming at you like Cleopatra. Yeah,
indeed. He's so good in one-on-one situations. It's going to be very difficult for Lyon to win this game. One area of solace they can possibly take is something that's not really been mentioned that much, and that is Bayern Munich's semi-final curse. The last 4 Champions League semi-finals they've been involved in, they lost Real Madrid in 2013-14, Barcelona 14-15, Atletico Madrid 15-16, and then Real Madrid again 17-18. As much as that will potentially give hope to Lyon fans, it's a different side, and this is very different circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Paris Saint-Germain kind of famously bottling it in big games in recent years, maybe not so this season. But yeah, you look at those Bayern Munich stats from those semi-finals, and it's like, oof, right, wow. That's doesn't make great reading for them if you're looking for omens, but it's you look at that team when they play, and they're so clinical, they're so efficient, they don't ever look like losing. In fact, actually, when I was looking it up before, I think they've only drawn one game in 28 since December the 7th. That's it, one game. So they've had 27 wins out of 27 games with one draw. And in their 9 European matches they played to date, the aggregate score is 39 goals for Bayern and 8 collectively for their opposition. It's like the numbers are scary. You just, I'm pulling for Lyon in this. I always love that underdog story, and in this case, Lyon very much are the underdog. But I just think, whichever way you look at it, even if you throw in cursed semi-finals, it's hard to look past Bayern.
Yeah, you can try and shut down Lewandowski, who's trying to break all sorts of Champions League records this season. I have to say, I'll hold my hands up here. Thomas Muller is a guy I kind of dismissed. I think I watched him in the 2018 World Cup and the shambles that was that German side, and thought, oh, maybe that's kind of it for him. Not that he's was finished, but I thought we do great things, obviously in Germany and potentially still in Europe and potentially at the odd international tournament. But I thought he was done, and he was a wonderful presence against Barcelona. And I think I was listening to the radio driving down to Birmingham on Friday, listening to this, and heard Chris Sutton just question what on earth Arsenal were thinking, get rid of Serge Gnabry.
Yeah, Serge Gnabry, who Arsenal let go. He went on loan to West Brom and didn't get a game hardly on the Tony Pulis, and you're thinking, well, it's nuts. And then the guys moved back to Germany, rebuilt his career, or I guess maybe built his career, and then obviously ended up with his big move to Bayern Munich. As for Thomas Muller, he does kind of very much get overlooked. He's always in and around the goals, but he's not held on that level of elite performer. But he very much kind of he knits that attack together. Just as he's so tricky to label, because I mean, there's times he's played on the right, there's times he's played as a main number 9, times he's played off that main number 9, and you look at his actual like attributes and stuff, and it's like, well, I've had this conversation so many times with people in the pub over the years when you're watching him in a game and he'll pop up with a goal, but it's like he's not overly quick, he's not overly skillful, he's not really known for his passing. He's not physical. It's like if you like ticking off attributes on like FIFA or Football Manager, it's like, well, what does he offer? But it's just his awareness is other level to a lot of the players around him. He's always positioning. He always manages to be in the right place at the right time, whether to get a goal, whether to get an assist. So yeah, Muller's key to this side. I remember he was linked at one point with Manchester United when Louis van Gaal was there, and that seemed like it was odd because that was at a time when Bayern Munich were maybe looking to offload some of their more senior players who've been around to inject a bit of freshness into the squad. And he was one player who looked like he might be heading for the exit door, but it didn't happen. And here he is, a key part of that side still in 2020.
And Perisic nailing down a spot in that side as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to push you for a score prediction now. What do you reckon that you're going to see tonight?
Sure, sugar lumps. I nearly, I'm thinking, I'm really pulling for Lyon, but I think 4-1 to Bayern Munich.
I was thinking 4-2. So we were predicting Bayern Munich PSG in the Champions League final on Sunday.
I have no idea at this point.
It's going to be soon. Point. It's just a mad month of European football. But yeah, I think it's going to be Bayern Munich's to lose tonight. But who knows with that semi-final curse. I'd love to know your thoughts on how tonight is going to go down in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as well to WhatCulture Football. And subscribe to WhatCulture Football wherever you get your podcasts from for daily football podcasts when you are out and about. You can continue the conversation on Twitter at WhatCultureFC. Watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow Andrew Pollard at
Cultured Left Peg.
And you can follow me at Adam Wilbourn. As I said, follow us all at WhatCultureFC. But this has been the Champions League preview. We'll be here to bring you all the fallout from that tomorrow, of course. But for now, my thanks to Andrew Pollard. Thank you for joining us. We will see you soon.